Welcome to Discovering. Some of the most beautiful wood anywhere is found right here in the Upper Peninsula. Tonight we'll pay a visit to Nature's Way Woodworking for a look at some of the amazing creations by Dave Stimac.
The real joy is in making stuff. That's what I like to do. I like to make stuff.
Stick around, that's all tonight, right here on Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Birdseye maple. What is it? Where is it? And how did it get there? I visited with Dave Stimac of Nature's Way Woodworking in the historic town of Alberta to get the scoop on Birdseye and for a look at some of the amazing things he turns it into.
You can say it both ways, either bird-eye maple or birdseye maple. I like to use the old bird-eye. That's what I was always taught by the old-timers there. But it grows 90 to 95% of the bird-eye is in the world comes from the UP. And it comes from along the Lake Superior watershed area. Few counties up here. I'm from Munising, working over, Marquette County, Baraga County, Houghton, Keweenaw, and up over into Ontonagon. But along the south shore of Lake Superior, predominantly where it grows. And the thing is, in those areas, there's genetics. It's been said that, it's the diseased wood and this or that, but there's genetics in the sugar. It's sugar maple. And there's genetics in the sugar maple that, with the proper growing conditions, will trigger the bird-eye to grow. And those conditions are high elevation, prone to drought, northeast slopes, crowded conditions, real crowded, fighting for sunlight, things like that, rocky, but the higher elevation too. And that's what really triggers those genetics to kick in and produce the birdseye. And the proof of that is you can cut a tree down and you look on the end of the log, you'll see the rays. You'll see the birdseye growing out in there. Some of those trees won't have that growing all the way out to the end. You can count back the annual rings and count back, say, 20, 30 years. And say, why is there no birdseye here and there is down in towards the heart? Well, 20, 30 years ago, if you go look back in the records, they logged that area. And they relieved the stress off the trees. And the birdseye quit growing. So it's proof that that's, what's causing the bird eye. Each eye is actually a knot in the wood, every little eye, and so it's a son of a gun to work with. It's hard as a rock. The grain switches up when you're going in different directions. The eyes want to pull out, so it takes a lot of patience to work with it. And a lot of people don't like doing that. I didn't to start with, but when you do something with it and you do it properly, it'll come out nice. And I got the equipment. I saved up and started buying some good equipment to work with. So it just takes a lot of patience and rubbing and, sanding. But it's fun. And it's unique. It's unique to the UP. You'll find pockets of bird-eye up in Canada and some here and there. But for the majority, it's up here. It's like they claim 90, 95% of the bird-eye in the world comes from up here in the UP. So it's more unique to the UP than, say, copper. They find copper in Arizona and Chile and all over the place. The birdseye is really a unique thing up here. So. I've been buying Birdseye for many years now, so I got a pretty good pile. I'm not in the business of selling lumber, but once in a while, somebody will come by, they want a board or two, you know, and I'll sell it to them. And once in a while, somebody's making a guitar, or they need a guitar neck. Actually, I've shipped out wood for guitar necks to some people. So I have quite a bit. This is all kiln dried. I have my own dry kiln where I dry my own lumber. I've been buying logs for years, so you know, that's another part of it. Well, the table, this started 10 years ago. We were sitting in a Hilltop restaurant, my wife and I, talking to Lee, the owner. She's huge in the animal shelter, the Copper Country Humane Society, up in outside of Houghton. And she asked about a donation that maybe help them out for the shelter, and we're animal lovers, of course. And so we said, well, let's do something good for them. And we started out with one of these coffee tables, and this is 10 years now. This is our 10th year anniversary, so I made a dandy this year. I think it's a dandy because we, you know, I do Birdseye maple, but I did something different here with some walnut. We got book match walnut burl in here with cherry burl in here, and then curly maple, local curly maple apron. These are curly maple paw prints in there. We had to throw that in for the shelter. We do that every year, you know. Yeah, that's a little tricky doing that kind of stuff. Time consuming, you know, it seems like everything I do is pretty much time consuming, but it's fun. It's what I try to do is strive for quality. If you're going to do something, do it nice and try to make it look good, and you know, do your best at it. And it's just the way it is. It's been going good. We've done real well. It's a great group up there, No Kill Shelter. Unbelievable group of people with all the volunteers and that they have. So trying to raise money for them, they can always use it, you know. We have rocks in here from all over the world, but I get orders too for tables local. We'll do strictly Copper Country tables. We'll do strictly Michigan stones or stones from all over the world. What we do is inlay them in, and the table also comes with a map stating all the stones, where they're from, and then a diagram of what they are and where they're all from. A little history on the stone. This is some green tree moss agate. That's from India. And here's a fish fossil from out the Green River Formation out in Wyoming. We've actually gone out and picked some of these out there. It's a ball going out there doing this stuff. The background on this, try to go with a little history to it. The copper country, by the way, is loaded with unbelievable different. It's a geological paradise up there. People come from all over for that, and just to pick rocks. But the stamp sand is from the old stamp mills from when the copper mines are running up there in the Keweenaw. This is from over by the Gay smelter, but this is the stampings. It's a little bit of history there too. We get these babies so they're a little bit under there. Here's a little conglomerate, epidote and copper and quartz in here. This is from up in the Keweenaw. And try to fit these in. We might move them around later, but we play around with this too. Take the rock and pour that in between. Get this all in and get it nice and level. This is barite from Gloucestershire, England. A little epidote from down Champion Way. This is nice local stuff here. Oh, there's so much stuff out there. It's crazy. Yeah, maybe we'll put that there. My wife usually does a lot of this inlaying. Malachite from Zaire, Africa. This is a septarian nodule from Morocco. This one here. So you learn a little bit when you're doing this stuff. You got to make darn sure that you don't have these above, because I will put this through. It'll go through my sander over here, sandy smooth, and then I'll flood coat it. I use a polymer coating that goes over. It's epoxy basically, and then it has a glass top too that goes over it, so to protect it. But it's a lot of fun. Sky's the limit. The only problem is with these smaller tables like this, you're limited, and you got so many nice rocks you want to put in. Pretty soon you run out of room. So the real joy is in making stuff. That's what I like to do. I like to make stuff. I call it tinkering, really. That's what I do, is I tinker. And it kind of gets into detail sometimes, like some pretty wild tinkering, but hey, that's what's fun. There we go. Look at that. Not bad. And then we'll put a little thing in here too with some engraving in it. It's 2016 Copper Country Humane Society 10th anniversary or something maybe. These are going to be, they're the door fronts for some gun cases that I'm making. For single gun, I got an order for one. I'm going to make 2 extras just to have in the gift shop because they sell. And they'll flip up. And I can show you the bases over there. But the doors, these are just the doors for them. They have glass and everything. And some I put lights in. But the one I'm going to do is going to have what is it? Henry, the Golden Boys, that version that they did for the mining up in the Keweenaw. I think there was, I don't know, 20, 30 of them made. So a guy wanted one made for that to put in for his grandson. And the wood doesn't look that good now. When we get finish on this sucker's going to light up. It's really going to look good once we get the finish on her. These are the backs for the gun cases. The door will go on, got a piano hinge along the top. Got some book-matched curly maple in the center there. That's some pretty wild stuff. And then the doors are held down with, they shut with a magnet, nice little rare earth magnet, so it's all hidden, concealed. So they'll look pretty good. Tom Bazis invented this style rocker. It's a Bazis pedestal rocker. And you'll see the ones up there. There's no legs on it. But he taught me how to do the joinery. The back support gets put in with a dovetail joint. There's no metal in these things whatsoever. It's all fitted. Not a piece of metal in these rockers at all. So everything's fitted, and they won't come apart. That's the strongest joint there is right there, is that dovetail. So, and it goes together in pieces. So that's the nice part about these things is I could put a back support on this, or I could make a different back for a certain rocker. And then the seats, there's a double mortise and tenon here. This is tapered. This is tapered in here so that it can't come out because you use the axe wedge down there. And then I'll sculpt them. Do all the hand, the sculpting. They're all sculpted by hand. I've got probably an average of about 300 hours into each rocker. So there's a lot of intense work going on them, but they're a lot of fun, and you can do anything you want. So there's a lot of sculpting, a lot of hand sculpting on these babies, just to get it there, and then the actual sanding and finishing. And I put Danish oil on them. I get several coats of Danish oil on here and then rub it out. And it just gleams. It feels like silk when you're done. They really feel good. Of course, they're all named after rock and roll songs, and this one is going to be Riding the Storm Out by REO Speedwagon. And I'm going to add some stuff on here so it's more like it's moving, a little bit of movement out of this baby. And but I like to do another one, and I want to make it look like it's melting. And like it's just sitting there really, really kicked back. It's going to be comfortably numb, Pink Floyd. Love it. That's what I'm going to do. That's going to be the next one. There's two people in the world making rockers like that. Tom Bazis and myself. He taught me how to do this, and that was another story. But the guy's amazing. He bet a guy a bottle of booze that he could make a better rocker than him. And Tom came up with this pedestal design rocker. Because a normal rocker with 4 legs, it's like this, and it's fighting. It's like a square. And sooner or later, most rockers will come loose. This will not. His construction is designed as the strongest rocker you're going to find. So I met Tom at Art Show in Marquette, and we hit it off, being woodworkers and that. And so he came up here and he taught me how to do this, the sculpting, the joinery, and everything. There's no metal in a rocker, none at all. It's all fitting. So dovetails. Up the arms go on to the support with dovetails. Everything's fitted. And then he taught me the sculpting, and then I kind of took off on my own designs. And that's the nice part about the rocker. You can make a back and make it whatever you want, or different themes. So I do my thing, and Tom has a whole different what he does on his. But I've kind of gone out into the Harley thing, and the Philadelphia Freedom, I named the first rocker I made after his hometown. That's where he's from, so it was Philadelphia Freedom. This is the second one there. He designed it, and phenomenal woodworker. He kind of got me going on this, and I can't thank the guy enough. He's just incredible. Now, you can sit in this rocker, and it feels nice. But here's the trick. Is you put your arms out like this. You come ahead. You put your arms back. It rocks. You see that? Just with your weight, it's balanced. This is how you can tell when a rocker is just with your weight distribution. See that? As you know, these rockers, they're all named after a rock and roll song. And I've done 3 of the motorcycle ones I'm working on, a fourth one down I was working on there. That's going to be, I think, that's riding the storm out. This one here is Bad to the Bone. George Thorogood and the Destroyers. Here, I went a little better on this one. We put the ape hangers on, you know, added a little leather. Underneath the seat, we have the V of the engine. There's on one side the air cleaner, and then this style here has the turned-out tailpipes. And, of course, a drip pan. All Harleys leak oil, at least they used to anyway. Nowadays they don't, but got to have a drip pan under your Harley. So they're a lot of fun. I just love making these things. You can get creative, you know, that's the nice thing about it. I've made 10 rockers, and I've sold 6 of them now. I have 4 left. I do have Freebird is another one of these here down in Hiawatha Log Homes over in Wetmore. But the rocking chairs are really, you know, a lot of work. But they're worth it. When you finish one of these, you feel like you've actually accomplished something, you know. It's worth doing. Like I said, I got about 300 hours probably average into each rocker. I will do like 2-3 rockers at a time when I'm making parts and that for them. I never make hardly ever one of anything. So that's why I'll do a few. So I'll get the parts made up, and then I can start sculpting into different designs, different themes. There's Birdseye maple here, and then it goes down into right here is the quilted maple. That's big leaf maple from out in the Pacific rainforest. And then the accent trim is walnut. The main thing is that I do is Birdseye. This is our most popular, by far. We call them the courtship candles. I didn't invent this. A fellow from Dollar Bay did this, but these are our most popular item, is the courtship candles. And wedding gifts, they're perfect for weddings. We can laser engrave them with bride and groom's names on them. They're lead weighted on the bottom so they don't tip over. Here's the story that goes with them. This is when you first meet right here, okay? This is first kiss right here, okay. Now, here we go. That's cuddling. This is engaged right there. Maybe your first argument. How about that? Then you could maybe have 30 years. You could have one out in the garage and one in the boathouse. Who knows? And another thing is, what a lot of people will do with these things is they'll give them to the bride and groom a little before the wedding, and they use them in a ceremony. We do them in cherry, Birdseye maple, a little bit of curly. I got a couple of walnut ones. But for the most part, we sell a lot of the Birdseye and cherry. They're real popular. In the old days when the copper mines were all running, they'd take the copper in a rough and form. They'd put it into the smelter, and it'd be up to 18 to 2200 degrees, I believe it was. And what it was is a big firebox. And you can see in this that these were bricks. Those were actual fire bricks like you have in your wood stove. But the heat, the intense heat for an extended period of time, the copper went in and infused right into the brick and through the brick. And so what you wound up was the whole inside of that firebox was copper. This is from the Hubble smelter. And when they took the mines, when the mines went down, everything was still there, and they were dismantling the buildings, they wound up with the firebox. They couldn't budge it. It was solid copper. So they drilled holes in the walls and blasted it with dynamite into pieces. And then they filled the holes in the area and pushed it with bulldozers into Torch Lake. Chunks of fire brick that were 300, 400, 500 pounds. And so I acquired a bunch of this stuff, and that's why I'd make tables and things like that. But it's history. This is history. Part of the old mining operations up there. You had the Hubble smelter, the Quincy smelter, Coles Creek smelters, all of them. But this is the firebox that actually got impregnated with copper. Back in November of 1975, I was out hunting with a friend of mine. Up behind Duncan up there, and we met an old-timer out in the woods, and Keithy knew him, and he stopped and had lunch with him. He said, "Hey, you boys want a job?" And I said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "I just got laid off. I got unemployment. I can drink beer and chase women. Do you think I want a job?" And he laughed, and finally he talked us into coming. He said, "Why don't you come down and pile lumber at Alberta?" I started working down here the day after Christmas in 1976, and basically I've been here since. we started cutting in and we got into the Birdseye maple. I said, oh boy, and it was really interesting. And I started stashing a little bit here and there. But that's where the love and the interest in the Birdseye maple started. Nature's Way Woodworking actually started in 1994. Out of my house, I was working, I had a lathe in the basement, and it was all full of dust the place. I was getting yelled at all the time. You know how that goes. I had suggestions from people that maybe you should start doing some shows, going to those. So my wife says, well, you need a credit card. I said, what? We need a credit card? He said, yeah, you got to take credit cards. So I went to the bank. The lady at the bank says, what's the name of your business? I said, I don't have a name. She said, you got to have a business name. So at the time, we had an inmate crew working here. So I come back. I told the inmates, I said, by the end of this day, we're going to have a name for my business, and it's possible that you may name it. And I said, if I use it, I'm going to cook you a hamburger. And food went a long way with inmates, you know. So at the end of the day, they had some suggestions in a hat. I pulled them out, and one of them was Nature's Way Woodworking. And I said, wow, I like that. How'd you get that? And the guy said, I was listening to the radio and a song came on. It was Nature's Way by Spirit, off the 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus. I said, wow, I love that album. I said, it's a great song. I said, that's it. I cooked them 2 cheeseburgers deluxe, and that's how Nature's Way started. And then I started tinkering around. John Sikorsky, as I had mentioned, he was making these tables and putting rocks in them. And so I did some of the woodworking for him. And he said, well, Dave, I owe you a bunch of money for the wood. He said, why don't I show you this rock stuff? And that's how the rock thing evolved. And so now I'm doing all these tables with all these rock inlay, like the one for the shelter and that. That expanded into, 3 years ago, started up a little rock room. Said, maybe we can sell rocks. You can't believe how many rocks people buy. We love the rocks, so they go together. It's all natural, and it's nature's way, is what it is.
Well, that's it for tonight. If you'd like to keep tabs on what's coming up on Discovering or see where we've been, you can join us on Facebook or go to 906outdoors.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week right here on Discovering.